Welcome to Palm Bay Live, celebrating 2 years in business. Welcome to Palm Bay Live, celebrating 2 years in business.
In the North, Commissioner Robin Fisher did an outstanding job with that. So that I like those ideas, sir. That I think we're on the same page with that. So thank you. Was that it?
Yeah, I would just like for us to look into that. Even if the compound is in the area, St. Sebastian River Preserve State Park it can't be utilized. So we need to get it changed where I see the compound being a bit. I would like for us to look into that, Mayor.
Absolutely. And if it takes letters, I think we have consensus here to start moving in that direction. But creating our own empowerment zones is the way we should. We have direct access for that, right, sir? But yes, sir, I love that idea. So any other questions, Deputy Mayor?
Mayor, my question would be, I don't know if you'll be able to answer that, or we can bring Ms. Bernard. It's regarding the update of our comp plan. Was there any specific recommendation for that particular area? I know that was a big part, even from the community. We have quite a bit of feedback as to what they would like to see and so on. So I'd like to get an update as to what were, if any, recommendations in terms of all land.
Yeah, so the visioning study, the visioning process, a lot of the public that came out, and including staff, all identified the compound as an area for commercial industrial growth. So I think that that's probably the number one thing that we heard in the visioning study. But of course, if I'm incorrect, then Alex can come up. Okay.
That's fine. I think, yeah, might be an opportunity there as well.
Get on the
Because
microphone.
certainly, looking at the current, if we looked at the pie shape chart, 72.3% is strictly residential. So it might be an opportunity there as well, because what would happen is, as soon as we have one development there, what you'll see naturally, it'll bring more people would be willing to sell, and that'll spark some movement out there.
Mhm.
So I think, as far as the land use and zoning will play a big part of movement out there.
I wanted to highlight this parcel. See if I can get there. Okay, so that triangular parcel underneath the purple, it's a shaded gray. It's zoned general use. That's a city parcel. That's a 30-acre parcel. It does have, I mean, it dead ends where Bombardier dead ends, where the water and sewer, I believe, dead ends. So that's an area that we've really been looking at to try and bring development to the city or to the compound, specifically because we own it, so we control it. It's got general use holding zoning, which allows a variety of different things. We've talked internally about rezoning that to light industrial, heavy industrial, depending on what the, what types of industry the city is seeing interest out here. I know that Nancy Bunt, our Community and Economic Development Director, can talk about the stuff that she's working on when it comes to collaborating with our Economic Development Commission to bring end users and employers out to this area. And this is one parcel that has been of interest to a few confidential projects.
Well, thank you, ma'am. And right along that same vein, this fits right in with what the discussion is, right? Is getting part of that, investing into our community in this regard. That means this council making that type of effort because we do have a unique opportunity. This we can control, and that can create and spur future growth in regards to commercial, and it is one of the entrance ways. But I don't have a question for you. I may have some as we continue to discuss. But right now, are you done, Deputy Mayor?
Sir, thank you.
Okay, so right now, what I'd like to do is commend the audience for their participation here today. And thank you for attending this workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an issue that's been plaguing our city for decades. And in that, your participation is critical for everyone up on this dais. So any idea, any input that you have is welcome. I do have two individuals that are going to lead us off with speaking. And the first one is going to be Mr. Tom Gong. He has a presentation to share with us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I approach?
Yes, sir. Come on.
But good evening, Mr. Mayor. I think when we talk about this, the first thing we need to do is establish one fact. Any recreational activity,
Get on the mic or can you bring it up some more? Bring up the lectern.
any recreational activity that goes on in the compound starts with an intent to break the law, whether it be trespassing, disregarding traffic signs, speeding, property damage, damage to our canals that keep our houses safe during the hurricanes. So I'd prepared tonight, but some other things happened during the day that I'd like to speak about. But when we talk about the compound, the main thing we know is we lose people out there. Not just people, predominantly Black young men by a vast majority. Having a long-range plan to develop the compound has been the goal for the last 20 years. So it's a great long-range plan. We can plan all day. But we need a solution to stop from stacking up 2 bodies a year to the compound. 2 bodies a year. Councilman Johnson, you've been up there 6 years. I think you'd agree that you've seen too many of these. They talked about getting trespassing signs and signs for the ordinance for shooting. They did. They got shot up. These are the canals we rely on to keep our homes safe during a hurricane. People own that property that is damaged. There's a note there. There's a small child on the front of that four-wheeler with no helmet on. Things go on out there that are dangerous. Yesterday afternoon, I was talking with our past city manager, Lee Feldman, when I said, Lee, I don't have the numbers to back it up, but I don't think we know about 10% of the stuff that goes on the compound. He said, that's probably an accurate statement. The residents that live around the compound obviously don't want these things going on out there. So one of the things I looked at was in the email I sent to council was drones to patrol the compound. The new Skydio drones, they can track people, infrared, all kinds of sensors. There's also spot technology that it's in the later letter I sent you. But yesterday, Governor DeSantis signed SB 102 that has to do with affordable housing. And one of the things, the most important to me at least, is the governor under the Florida Job Growth Grant Fund can approve state and local public infrastructure projects to facilitate the development and construction of affordable housing.
Thank
I
you.
found that same 33 acres.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation will be Mr. Jordan. Bring that down, Mr. Jordan.
John Jordan, 2141 Madden Avenue. We live about 2 blocks from the compound, just to the east. These pictures I took Sunday afternoon at 1:30. You can see a pickup truck doing spinouts on the property that's owned by the city, right at the corner of Madden Avenue and Osmosis. There goes a dirt biker by on his way to the compound. He's followed by 3 more, 2 more, and then 3 more after that. And this goes on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, we have so much noise, and look at all that dust. It's coming right at our house. I have made probably 100 phone calls reporting activity there. And sometimes they can come out, but most of the time, you know, we're shorthanded in the police department, so they can't always do anything. But it's very noisy on weekends. It's awfully, it's really, you don't want to sit outside because there's so much noise and that dust flying around. It's really a nuisance. Well, this is city property that the city would be responsible if anybody got hurt on. There goes the truck again. So it's really a problem that has gone on the 5 years that we've lived at that property. And we sure like to see something done to calm it down. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question, sir. What, is it unit 53 where you live in? What unit?
We're in 49.
49?
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
The dividing line is the canal. It's
Okay.
about a block to the east or to the west of Madden Avenue.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you. So this time I want to ask any individual that wants to speak, you're up first, ma'am. You raised your hand up quickly. Then you're number 2. Yes, sir. Butch, you're number 2. Take it 2 at a time. And then you're 3, sir. Negative. Come on up, ma'am.
Hello, Mayor Medina.
Use it.
Can
Bring
you hear
the
me?
mic closer. to-
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Mayor Medina. Thank you guys for having us this evening related to the compound. I run the Angels Bridging Gaps Autism Support Group here in Brevard. And I'm having an event coming up on April 29th, Helping Hands Family Festival, to help deal with some of the issues that we have in Brevard. We know that it isn't just Palm Bay, it's Brevard County, and we have issues going on in our schools. We have issues going on in our homes. We have issues going on with our police department in terms of being able to manage our youth. I really feel that one of the things that we if any possibility, is something like a community center. I know Donnie and I worked together years ago, and one of the things that
I don't have any preference,
we don't have a boys'
so it's up
club
to your clients. If they want to,
someplace for them to feel, someplace for them to feel a part of that community. One of my suggestions.
I assumed everybody was already, you can go ahead and let them in.
House both teens and young adults with disabilities.
Oh, he's just going through the guidelines? Okay.
Baptist Church right now.
Thank
We have
you.
so many young people sitting at home, not doing anything, and not feeling a part of the community around them.
And just to verify with the Court TV and with the AP reporter,
Give them jobs to run the community
or
center.
the AP photographer, if you could let me, if you could listen to me for just a minute. No,
So we can work
there's no pictures of the jury.
for our community. The reason that we have so many issues that we're
Thank
talking
you.
about is young people go there to gather. They go there to do their bond. They go there for activities because they don't have someplace else. So my desire
And
would be to see us develop something that can benefit
Just right now.
in community, our youth with disability, because I've had a close relationship with the police department, sheriff's department, and I've been working closely with Betsy Farmer and some of the other Ways for Life organizations. We have no housing for young adults with disabilities or our young adults that are having more problems at home. There's no place for them to go. Crosswind has 12 vacancies and 12 spaces. They have no vacancies at all. We have no place for our young adults and our students to when they're causing all these issues. And we see this bubbling into our schools and into a lot of our homes. And again, dealing with the police department and the circle that keeps going around. So I would love to see something like that.
And I just put your
Jody,
I'd like staff to duly note this young lady's comments because I think we could definitely, this is an opportunity for partnership. Carry on, sir.
Mitchell ran 219 Trenton Avenue here in Palm Bay, Florida. I have several pictures of different things at the compound, but due to my inability to manage the data, I couldn't get it sent to you. I tried 3 times and it kept coming back. Anyhow, you have that picture up there just a few seconds ago. Can you zoom to Madden Avenue North up there? Like, the thing is, they've put brand new sparkling, shiny stop signs and street signs with names on them. And there's no street there. There's woods. Okay, and like I said, I've got the pictures and the locations, and I'll get them to Susan as soon as I can figure out how. So if you go north on Madden, it's a dirt grass road combined, and this both streets, east and west side, there's new stop signs, new street signs. And you can look down the street and see nothing but bushes. You follow that on around and you end up on Madden. They're building a new house on Madden Avenue. There's no street, there's no nothing there. I don't know how fire would respond to it, but they've got the permit. They've started working on it.
I think we've got everyone in here that wants to come in.
South end
You
of
could be
Madden.
seated, and I'd like to just say a few things before we call the jury in. There is a verdict in the case. I think you've all been told that.
All the way to the end
When
where
before the jury
Sanford
enters, I just want to say a few things that I say in every case. The court appreciates that this has been a long and difficult trial for the
There is
parties
a portable concrete back there.
and their
This
counsel,
part. I don't know if it's on city
and
property,
that
private
emotions
property,
may
or
be
what. I've got a
running
good picture
high.
of it that I can
The
share
court
with you
reminds
when
everyone
it comes
that
to
there
it.
should be no
Other than that,
outward
it's-
reaction
I don't know what
when
to
the
have
verdict is
tell
read,
you to do with the compound. That's something you guys are going to have.
and that these proceedings are not over
You drive around
until the
city
court has
and
been
you see a
adjourned.
Stop sign that's turned white.
Most importantly,
It's not red anymore.
and regardless of
There's a sign
verdict,
to it, it's just the
the
opposite.
jury has sacrificed
You got it in the compound.
more than 8 days of their time
Kinda
to
confusing
serve,
to this old boy.
and they are entitled to be shown the
Okay.
same courtesy and respect
And go FAU.
that they have been shown throughout these
All right,
proceedings.
y'all have a good night. Thanks.
I want to remind the people that are all here that there are strict orders that are in place concerning the use of phones, cameras, recording devices.
Victor Carrasco.
Unless you've been
and I grew
approved,
up out
and there are only 2 people in here that have been approved for
My thing
capturing
is-
anything by video,
What are you gonna
by
do
audio,
when you guys
or
start
by
building
still.
and
You should not use your cell
take away
phone
everything?
or
You got
any.
right, like Miami,
Thank you.
they have these
Ready
rides
for
in the
the jury?
streets. Everybody knows them. Epic O Town. Is that what we want? You're gonna take away our safe haven where we're able to ride. And now they're
And I have been
just gonna
impressed
take
with
to the
how
streets.
well everyone has
They
been.
have law
throughout this
enforcement chasing
proceeding,
them.
So thank you all.
But look at how many people show up at the rides. It's very outnumbered. Just saying, that's always been a place for us to go and ride. And I've been going out there since I was a kid in diapers with my family, having a good time. But it seems like if we get rid of that area, we're just going to look like Miami, Orlando, Daytona when all these rides happen. And people can say that's not going on, but it really is. Martin Luther King ride just happened, what?
For those that are arriving late, there's no
Look how
use
many
of any
people were on the news for
recording
it.
devices
Riding
at all.
ATVs, dirt bikes, street bikes, side bikes. All vehicles were in that ride. Is that what we really want to happen around here? This has always been an area for us to escape after a hard day's work, go enjoy ourselves. To a certain extent, some of us own property out there. And I've even had incidents where we're on a property we're allowed to be on. Police show up and tell us to leave, even though we have permission to be there. It happened. Trailer, permission. I was told. I'm just saying, there's a lot more to this that needs to be looked into. But I feel like if you get rid of that area, all of us on ride around in a Jeep all day, back trails, four-wheelers, people say we're ruining the property. We're following the same trails that have been out there for over 20 years. Some of us have been out there so long, like, you know, my family members that have been going out there since the 80s, when it was just only woods before the grounds were put down. But that's just my input. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Who else wishes to speak? This. Let's one at a time. You're first. This. Oh, everyone's gonna get an opportunity to speak. Ma'am, you're next, and Mr. Batten, you're third.
Hi, my name's Thomas McEwen. I live at 120 Holleran Street, Southeast Palm Bay. I'm here to represent Spaceport Rocketry Association. We are National Association of Rocketry Club and Tripoli Rocketry Club. We have a permit out there in the compound to fly our rockets, and we support a multitude of university students flying their rockets for competition with NASA and out at the spaceport in New Mexico. We're certifying those flights for them. We support Cub Scouts. We support church groups. We support high schools in the Team America Rocketry Challenge, which is, they can win scholarships. 700 teams throughout the United States compete, and they have to select down to 50. We support those events. We've been out there since approximately 73. But in this area where we have our permit, we've only been there since about 1998, because we moved it away from the large canal. We would still like to be able to be out there someplace. The problem is that with our rockets, we need a large amount of unoccupied area. And if we have the
I need you to really speak on the mic.
if we really have the parkway, we can't fly our rockets because there will be more than 15 cars per hour driving past us. And we cannot find any farmland or anything else in the area that can, because the farmers or ranchers say, oh, rockets, no, you can't come out here. You can't walk across my grass, you scare the cows and everything else. And we support from all the way from Titus, up in the northern FAMU, all the way down to Miami universities and high schools, all on the West Coast. We're the only group that they can come to. We would still like to be able to be out there. And it would be great if there was a park out there that would have a large enough area that we could share with other peoples and others groups. That's what I'm asking for.
Have you had a dialogue with NASA?
We have, we're supporting the college students and high school students in a competition with NASA. They'll be up in Alabama in 2 weeks competing for scholarships and bragging rights. This is an event that they have to turn in to NASA 6 documents throughout the year, proposals and things like that. And that looks great on a resume, even if they don't win the competition. And we still want to support these groups. We're the Space Coast. Let us be able to fly rockets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you were, Mr. Robinson, would you assist her? Thank you.
Okay. Feels better. That's good. My name is Oliva Nieves. I have 33 years living mostly in Palm Bay. I am familiar with the compound landlord area. I visited few times. I even went go-kart with one of my kids. Unbelievable, unforgettable, beautiful area. The way these kids had their things going in there. And it's a shame, it's sad that the people today use it to commit crime. We just had one. Dump garbage or junk things rather than have fun like we did. And my suggestion is time to develop that area. Especially, we should build a downtown Palm Bay. This city don't have downtown. We need to go Melbourne, downtown, or a lot of stuff, Piera. I think we should have our own downtown. Another thing that I suggest will be an amusement park. Okay, rather than go so far Disney or whatever, we can just minutes to one of these attractions. Also, we should have a similar to a Wet and Wild. Remember those? That could be very nice in that area. Or some like a big flea market for the community would be nice. And we need to build for the community because this has been for many years a community thing, a teenager, child stuff, you know. And I think we should keep it that way or try to keep it safe and better monitor that area somehow to keep it going because it's a beautiful, nice area. And it's good for the community. It's very good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Master Chief? Okay, Master Chief.
Bill Batten, 586 Ocean Spray Street, Southwest. I've got 6 items to address on this one. Number one, we just had the meeting on infrastructure in the compound area. Remember, Unit 49 is the gateway to that area. So let's don't let that depreciate because it's the one more time where if you have your first impression looking, okay, this is part of the city, then that kind of slows things down just a little bit. So let's don't let that one fail. Item number 2, under the building initiatives. And when I say this, you're going to look at me strange because I'm against tax abatement because that's what keeps the city running. We won't have any funds if we give tax abatement for everything. But there is, like was just brought up, Governor DeSantis would just propose for the homeless incentive. That's something we might be able to work because that'll help people start building in that area, which leads to some of my other topics. I was glad to see that you're already talking with Florida Power and Light on getting a substation out there. Now, I'm going on 36 years living here. Those are the people that know me. I am at the compound area also, Unit Canal 13. That's where I live. But when I moved here, there was no power out there either. I had to pay to get Florida Power to bring power out to my house. That might be what people have to do. It might not be that the city covers it or Florida Power is putting the bill. Part of that could be part of your incentive. The city will help you get power here to build your house, just for possibility. Item number 4. If we start getting people to start building out there close to, at least coming in and out, remember, people don't like to do bad things in the light of day. They have a tendency to do them where nobody can see it. So if you have people that are starting to move into that area or live out in that area or businesses, that means more eyes, which means more supervision. More supervision means less hell raising, right? And that lowers the bad behavior. Item number 5. Remember that this area, though, is right next to the St. John's Heritage. It's right next to the St. John's floodplain. So we have to be real careful about what we're trying to build in that area, and that's a detriment for trying to get massive developments just because of the elevation. So just remember that where the location is. Item number 6. You're not breaking a law if you own the property out there. I know many people that build stuff they have their own ATV camps. Some of them have their own private ranges, right? But I can also speak for the people that come out there that don't have their own land. We have loss of livestock. That's what happens when people don't follow rules and regulations. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I know you have a hard decision on how you're going to get there.
Thank you. I want to go on this end. I'll have, let me start. The gentleman way back, and then you, ma'am, and then you're third. Oh, come on up. You're number 2. You're number 3. She's number 2. No, the one behind you. You, ma'am.
Good evening, and thank you for holding this meeting. I have been long awaiting to have this opportunity to present my concern about the compound. I own quite a bit of property in that area for a while, and one of the main concerns that I have, of course, you've heard it, all the crimes that are happening out there. That's a great concern, and a lot of damage, even to my property, has been done. So that's also a concern. And one of the main things that I wanted to address today is the fact that I am paying for stormwater in an area that is not receiving hardly any services. And it's extremely expensive. I'm paying right now, I have been paying for many years over $2,000 a year for a property that's not receiving any services. Actually, as we speak right now, it's unbuildable. So I just want to bring it to your attention, if you could make a special consideration. To the best that I know, this is the only area in Palm Bay that is not buildable right now. So if you would consider to at least lessen the amount that we're paying for the stormwater. I personally, I'm paying over $2,000 every year, which
Is
is
that
like
for one property, ma'am?
one property.
How many properties do you have?
It's a fairly large parcel, parcel. Yeah, I'm paying over $2,000.
How many acres?
It's 11 acres.
11 acres. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, which is unusable. Of course, we are working hard, and it is my hard earning investment. It's an investment. And right now, I already paid more in stormwater than what I paid for the property. So there should be a special consideration, and you should be looking into it, that the fact that it's not buildable, you're not providing any services at all. We're paying taxes, and I do understand the stormwater is important, and I do support it, but the fact that it's not buildable, it's an investment. And right now, it's sitting there, people trying to keep it open, to do all kind of activities over my property, and there I am, I'm paying for an investment that I've my hard-earned working money, and then that is not buildable, and I've already paid more in stormwater than the property is worth. And right now, it's absolutely, the value is extremely, with all the things that are going around the compound, we cannot build. Nobody wants to be out there. People want to keep it open for recreations. And there I am, I'm paying all this money when I'm not getting no services. So please, if you would consider, I can understand, I am a resident here. I'm more than happy you giving me services, although many times, by the way, the services finally once in the last 2 years, they finally came and do my back, the area, the general area beyond my backyard for the
Thank you, ma'am.
stormwater.
I do have a question for you.
Yes.
How long have you had the property?
A long time ago, since 2003.
Okay. And since that time, you knew it was you couldn't build on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so my question is, as an investment, right? You mentioned investment. Would you be willing to go through a special assessment to develop that area? Would you be one of those that would say yes to something like that?
I would love to, but I cannot afford it right now.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so
Thank you.
please do consider and see what can be done, at least in that particular area, if we could pay, a lesser
Thank
rate
you,
for
ma'am.
the,
Thank you.
stormwater. Thank you.
You were number 2, ma'am. Come on up. Is that Kay Mirage? Yes, it is. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Good evening, Councilor, Mayor, staff. I am happy that you're actually holding this workshop, and this has to be one of those two-pronged approaches. Mr. Gump mentioned the first one is how do we protect it now? And I think he had some good points in terms of looking at surveillance and these using technology to solve the problem now. And I think that's something that you shouldn't just look over, just make sure that is something we consider because there is a need at this point. Secondly is our future plan. And when I look at the compound, over 12 acres of property there, and what can we do with it? Now, I see that the city has 30 plus acres there, and 99% of the surrounding lots are zoned single family residential. I want us to consider looking at rezoning that area, not only just changing it to accommodate the big companies. There are small people who want to have their businesses there and no opportunity because it's zoned single family. We need to start looking at multifamily homes as well, zoning as well, not only for condos, townhomes, but for duplexes, quads. They're smart people who actually want to actually have an investment property right beside them. We are not even looking at that. So to me, changing one of the zonings to multifamily zoning. Secondly, I will of course look at the giving people opportunities since there are multiple owners there. If they choose to rezone, I don't know what the whole process is, but making it simpler and easier, giving people raise their hand if they would be interested in rezoning theirs to multi-use. So if you have multi-use zoning, it gives you again that opportunity to do anything there. The 30 acres that the city have, I say there are people right now who are interested in riding their ATVs. Why not look to shop a portion of that property to those companies that are actually doing it already? Bringing the people here, that's bringing people into the city of Palm Bay. So imagine this, there's a portion that does the outdoor activities, the ecotourism. There are people who do that, shop that to them, let them do those activities. Then imagine having an amphitheater nearby. Now we're doing festival, concerts, and so that makes us the entertainment hub for the county. Nobody has all of that. So bring those people in and then surrounding zoning that will allow businesses to pop up. So bars, restaurants will pop up with individuals owning them, not only big businesses. Of course, if like the lady with her 11 acres, if that was an opportunity to be rezoned to light industrial, of course, that would be a good idea. So I think we should look into that kind of concept. Rezoning has to be a priority, and of course, shopping it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor and everybody here.
Get
Thank
close
you.
to the mic.
Oh,
please.
sorry. I talk
State your name.
softly anyway. Okay. Good evening, Mayor and everybody that's here. I'm listening. I live at on Ganseta Street, not far from the compound. I've been there 22 years. So I've seen a lot of development over the last 22 years that I've been here. I was listening to one of the representatives, I think it was the first lady, about the development of the Heritage Parkway into 95 and everything. Do anybody have an idea of when that's going to take place?
It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a
Down-
while.
Yeah, it's downrange right now, man.
The only reason why I'm asking is because I spoke to Mo Allen, the realtor, one of his people, and I spoke to Danielle that's upstairs in the city department. And I'm looking to, well, not myself, not only myself, my son and I are looking to build a business out there. And it's covered some of the things that y'all talked about building out there. Right now, I don't want to announce it to everybody, but if you take me to the side later, I'll tell you what we're trying to do. And we would like at least 50 to 100 acres for it. So We already have investors. We already have money to buy the land. We know who's going to do everything for us. So that's why I was wondering how long the parkways were open. So it would be beneficial for everybody because I know the road over there on Bombardier is not wide enough to handle any kind of busy traffic, especially coming from 95. It's not feasible. You know, people will get cut off and say, nah, don't want to go there after we spent all this money to do something out there to benefit the community. It will help everybody out in the long run as far as jobs and everything else. So that's why I was asking, but like I said, later on, if you want to know, I'll tell you what we're doing. And hopefully you can give me some ideas of some of the programs that you mentioned that we can go ahead and see if we can get started or look for something somewhere else. But we want to stay in Palm Bay because that's our home. So I thank you all very much and have a blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Here.
Carry on.
Can we?
Ma'am, come on.
Ma'am,
come
would
on.
you give your information to staff, please? So we can follow up with you. Thank you.
Sorry, who? Was it you, sir? Yes, sir. And then you're next. I wish I knew his name. I don't like pointing at people, but. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Hacking, 883 Vance Circle Northeast. And back in 2010, I was in here and we had the same problems about the compound, people not knowing what to do, you know, recreational, we wanted commercial. And I would just like to say that is that the local people should be able to go out to the compound and open up a business. Like this one gentleman said that he had his, you know, motorcycles and trucks and all this. Why not have local people, local organizations go out to the compound and open up, you know, motorcycles and trucks and recreational for the people. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. You're next, sir. Please, everyone that's coming to speak, state your name and your address. Okay, yes, sir. I know you've been waiting a while, so you'll go after, all right, sir? In blue?
Hello, my name is Ryan Foster, 935 Quaker Street, Southeast Palm Bay. Didn't really prepare because I didn't know that we were going to be able to talk tonight, but.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you. I want to say, talking about all development and building the area up more out there, all you got to do is drive around this town to see that the overdevelopment that's happening right now is taxing our infrastructure. Y'all want to put more houses, more people, more everything out there. There's 2 roads to get in and out. There's no way it can handle it, first off. On that note, I want to say I've been here living in this area for almost 30 years. One of the reasons I moved here, my realtor told me about the compound, and that sold me. I moved here because of that place. To me, it's a paradise. It's pristine. It's just a wonderful place. If you ask me where I want to go any given day to have fun, to do something, it's going to be the compound. I'm a member of a bunch of different groups that meet out there. We do birthdays, we do holidays, we meet up, we police the area. We're not the trash, the trouble that everybody wants to talk about. We go out there and we, you know, take care of the place. We tell people, we see them dumping, we get on them. I guess my point is, it's not all bad what happens out there. The only thing that people are seeing is what they see in the news, like what just happened. I think that all this is sparked off from the tragedy that happened in December. We also had a shooting in one of our parks, an attempted murder, a shooting on the interstate. This stuff happens all over the place. It's not the location, it's the people. And that's the problem. So dumping it all on the compound, I don't get it. And I think the people who are property owners out there, they have a, you know, they can argue it and they have a stand, but people that don't even come out there and don't know anything about the place, that all they hear is something on the news and they want to, you know, come and speak their mind and what should happen out there and put the place down. That's not everything that happens out there. There's hundreds of us who go out there and we enjoy the place. Now, regardless if we're supposed to be out there or not, that's not what I'm here to talk about. It's been out there for almost 40 years or whatever. And well, we could discuss that too. I mean, I think there has to be some posting for property owners in order to keep you off the property. There's nothing out there that it's not, I'm not going to get into that aspect of it because my point is, I think the place is beautiful as it is. If I had my way, I'd say leave it alone. And there's more development in this area. We've got enough going on right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, sir.
My name is John Crowley. I probably lived in Palm Bay since 1986, so I'm probably one of the oldest residents there. I did not come here for traffic. I hate traffic. So I think development's fine, but we really need to think about two-laning and getting the roads more clear than we are, and maybe planning for future development, but also maybe partnering with some of the industries that are in this area. Like someone's talking about FP&L. Well, why not build a solar farm out there? Make money. I mean, let's make money. Let's develop future technology. Partner with Florida Tech, partner with universities, partner with the industries that are in this area. Rocket technology, we have it here. There's no reason for us not to make money on this land. I mean, maybe I'm stupid, but I think we should make money. We should rent that land, and we should also look for the low-income people. I mean, we have homeless everywhere in Palm Bay. We need to put 1% of that land at least for low-income and homeless people. I mean, no one likes them in their neighborhood. I understand that. I deal with them all the time. I don't like them in my neighborhood either. But I'm a man of the gospel. I believe you should treat your fellow man like you treat other people. So I think they're our brothers and sisters. We need to treat them right, feed them, you know, maybe partner with Daily Bread. Why not have a Daily Bread in Palm Bay? I went there 2 weeks ago, saw at least 30, 40 people sleeping on the streets. If that doesn't make you sad, Mr. Mayor, seeing vets, possible, living on the street, it makes me sad. My eyes, you know, will tear up. The idea of one homeless person in this great country sleeping on the street should make everyone in this room mad. When we develop malls and places like that, less than 10% of them are occupied. Why not look for homeless people opportunities there, or places like that Dignity Bus, teaching people skills, you know, hospitality skills, other skills. There's a ton of, you know, technology that is out here, and we have the places to do it. Eastern Florida, Florida Tech, NASA right down the street, Disney. You know, we have it, so why not look into it? Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be patient with me. The first thing I wanted to express is I want everyone's input. If you're willing to speak, I want to hear from you. But I'm going to try to do this by section. I had gone to my left, and so I want to work on my left and then go right across. So I'm going to go to my left, and I'm going to ask. There was a gentleman that raised his hand on my left side. Yes, sir. You come on up, and then I'm going to work in that section, and then after I'm completed, I'm going to just go across.
Good evening. My name is Chris Jones. I currently live 2524 Haverhill Road, Northeast. My parents moved here from Orlando when my mom was pregnant with me because Orlando in the 80s wasn't the place they wanted to raise a kid. They moved, bought a house, Cromie Avenue, over in the Port Malabar Country Club area. When I was 3 years old, my neighbor 4 doors down was a man named William Cruz. Some people might remember him. One day he decided he was going to shoot his wife, went to a shopping center down the street, shot another woman, some police officers. That was the 80s. That was in the nice part of Palm Bay. This has been happening, granted, on a larger scale currently these days, but there's been problems all over. When that happened, they decided they were going to move to Southwest Palm Bay, bought a house on White Cloud off Garvey. Garvey and Malabar Road was a dirt road. There was nothing where Madeline Landing is now but cow farm, all the way to the shopping center at Malabar and Minton. It was a Kmart, a couple other things, you know, there's nothing. So I've seen this city explode over my lifetime. I'm sure a lot of y'all remember early to mid 2000s, when Bayside Lakes started really experiencing a boom in the population. It was a large influx of property crime there. People getting houses broken into middle of the day. It wasn't in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't in the middle of the night. It was in neighborhoods in the middle of the day. The only two ways that really people solved it, people installed cameras and the police started making a larger presence out there, and the crimes dwindled off. More recently, 2017, 18-ish, I believe, A's Trail Park over in Northeast. I fish there a lot. There's some hiking trails through the woods. There was a lot of problems with people going in there committing inappropriate acts with each other in the woods. The only way that problem solved itself, the city went out there, cleaned it up a little bit, spent some money on it, started monitoring the area, more police presence. Now, I like the ideas of building something to benefit the community out at the compound, but be it commercial or industrial or residential, crime follows people. There has been more crime the more people have moved in here over the years. It's just gonna happen when a city increases in size. The only way that you're gonna combat it, I've seen multiple times in my life, the city has tried to shut the compound down. They put speed bumps out there that have been chiseled and ripped out of the road. They put posts in the road trying to stop people from going out that have just been cut off. It's not gonna work, but you can help it by just keeping the police out there, you know, keep the bad people out.
Thank you. Anyone? Yes, sir. Step right up. And sir, back there, you're next. Yes, sir, you.
James Kennedy. 5 years ago, I moved to 746 Darby Avenue. Currently just sold the house because my father-in-law had to go to assisted living facility. I've watched my kids and my friends' kids grow up in the compound, learn how to actually become young men and young women, learn how to ride four-wheelers, fish, shoot bows and arrows with their dads. Like, we don't want to get rid of that. Like, I met some of my best friends, like people I call family that are more family than my real family, that I hang out with every day, that we go riding with. I mean, I have to agree with what my friend Chris said. The more you build up, the more crime is going to follow. I know this. I spent a long time spent a few years locked up. All right. So people are going to do it regardless. I mean, we got to try to slow it down. But my point is, like, you got to keep a recreational area around, because they're starting to ban all recreational areas. From South Florida, ATVs are completely banned in South Florida. And since that happened, crime went up a lot. I moved from West Palm 5 years ago after I told I wasn't going to walk again. Work at accident at work. Moved up here, got a job, learned to walk, bought a truck, and had a kid. And I mean, the garbage is, you know, the dumping, the crime, that needs to stop. Something needs to be figured out. I agree that we need to build a little bit of everything for somebody. People need their rockets. I mean, we all work together. Like when we ride and they're out there shooting, we slow down for them. We pass them with some distance, safety. Like, it's just, rules need to be integrated. And it's, I ain't got much more to say about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, you next.
Evening, thank you. My name is Terry Johnston. I'm a 23-year resident here in Palm Bay. I live in 1497 Bechet Street, Southeast. So my kids grew up out in a compound, taking the dogs out there, walking, riding four-wheelers. At one time, while it wasn't promoted, it was allowed, I guess, by the police department at one point when it wasn't quite as bad as it has gotten over the years. Polk County had a very similar problem to what we're experiencing now, where residents
Speak on the mic, sir.
where residents had issues with people riding four-wheelers and whatnot. Polk County took a parcel of their land and turned it into an ATV park that was completely funded by grants as well as private personal citizens. So no money out of the county budget in their case. And then after they opened it, they have a day use fee, which is very minor for residents in Polk County. That then funds the operation of it yearly. And they're in a net mode now where it doesn't cost any money to the county budget at all. They have a very beautiful place that people can go and ride their ATVs and whatnot. And it's a very managed and safe environment. That's all. Something we may want to look into as a city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in this section wish to speak? Anyone else in this section wish to speak? Seeing none, I'm going to move into this section. Anyone wish to speak at this point? Come on up. Anyone else in this section?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Randall Olszewski. I live at 348 Brookedge Street Northeast. I'm a Palm Bay boy. Not born, but raised. As I talk to you guys about all the time, I was a Palm Bay High kid. So Palm Bay High kids hung out in the woods in the town of Malabar. We called it the Flat Tracks. All the Bayside High kids hung out at the compound. Kids find woods. When woods exist and they're accessible, they find them and they go to them. You know, when Mufasa took Simba and he put him on the rock and he said, oh, out there is the shadows at the end of the Pride Lands, don't go there. What did it take? The next scene, Uncle Scar said, well, there's nothing cool there. So you have young men and women that are, you know, here living the Florida lifestyle, maybe got hair like me, maybe got tan skin like me, whatever it is. And we like to tinker with motors, like to do things. And you go, there's a forbidden territory at the end of the Pride Lands. Don't go to it. What's there? Streets, really straight streets where you can test if you want to be a drag racer, really curvy streets if you want to be a drifter. It is literally a trap for the activity that you're trying to prevent. You have to take this weakness that we have within our city and this threat to our community, and you have to turn it into our community's biggest strength. Now, what's been understated this evening thus far is this map right here has a checkered line down the middle of it. That checkered line is to indicate where the St. John's Heritage Parkway is supposed to go, okay? And will it happen a while from now, soon? Who knows? But it's supposed to go along that checkered line, which is going to bifurcate the compound. Establish the fact that it's going to get cut into two pieces and figure out what you want to do on this side. That would be the east, right? That probably does need houses and development. You could actually pave the roads at 49 and you could just continue the community. If you're on the west side of St. John's Heritage Parkway, that is not going to be anything. It should be recreational facilities where all these young folks can grow up learning how to ride dirt bikes. I just bought my first mini bike. If I go out to Mr. Bill Batten's property, which is rural residential, and he lets me, I can go tear it up on there, no problem. We could talk about that we need more rural residential property. Mr. Batten, I'll be talking to you. But the point is, if we have a facility that folks can pay their right, you know, it's going to cost a nominal fee. You're going to be a member, very similar to the Port Malabar Fire, you know, the gun club. The point is, we need to get recreation out there where everybody can do everything they're doing. The Jeeps they run, you know what's better than a Jeep? A Bronco. The Broncos, let the Broncos run, let the dirt bikes run, let it all happen. But we need to embrace the fact that we can't simply just put up barriers. We need to draw lines, just like that checkered line, and say we're going to do something here, and over here, we're going to put it together, and we are going to embrace what it is, the beautiful, the edge of the Shadowland, the nice scenes, everything that it is. Mr. Batten's previous point, the floodplain edge that it is. We need to determine the two sides, address both. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak from this section? Anyone else wish to speak in this section? Ma'am, did you just raise your hand? Oh, okay, you're just waving at me? Okay. So now we're going to the dead center. So you're first, and then you're next, sir, with the cover and the shades on the cover.
My name's Fred Kofer. I live on Osmosis Drive. My property is adjacent to the compound. I've lived there for 22 years, and it's been a nightmare. It's, you know, I'm not so much concerned. Our problem is not what's going on in the compound. It's the people getting to the compound. There's off-road vehicles going up and down Osmosis Drive right now. It's dozens a day. And I have to commend the Palm Bay Police for their efforts in the last couple of years. It has gone down drastically. Whereas a weekend day up to a couple of years ago, I'd have 200 to 300 illegal vehicles by my home in one day. And I'm not exaggerating. And the videos that Don showed you, that's the soundtrack of my life. That's what's going on every day in front of my home. And these people that talk about, well, I own property in the compound, they might own a quarter acre out there. They just use that to unload their vehicles and then ride for miles. You know, just because you own a quarter acre and half an acre out there doesn't give you free reign to run through the compound. But my biggest issue is the traffic up and down Osmosis of illegal vehicles, no licenses, no insurance, no tags. Some people think that they can avoid the law by staying on the shoulder of the road, which means they come through my front yard. We've dealt with this for 22 years. And, you know, we finally started getting some response from the Palm Bay Police, but it used to be a joke, you know, so it has gotten better. But I say my biggest issue is the illegal traffic on our city streets.
Sir. Hold on. The gentleman has the mic, and I hear so many folks, you know, speaking. I'm not sure what you're saying, but I'm giving everyone an opportunity to share your thoughts. Let's be mindful and respectful for everyone that's speaking on the mic. Carry on, sir.
But like I say, I've dealt with it for a long time, and it's constant noise. It went on last night. We had off-road vehicles by my home up until 2 a.m. last night, and this is not unusual. This is daily, you know. So like I say, I would like to commend Palm Bay Police for what they've done here recently. They've actually started ticketing people where they used to just ignore it. But thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak from the middle? Sir, you were next, so come on up. Anyone else after him that's in the middle?
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Rick
Get
Campbell.
the mic close.
My name is Rick Campbell.
Thank you so much.
I'm a newbie here from Pennsylvania. A year and a half ago, I didn't know there was such a thing as a compound, but it's beautiful. I go there almost every day. I'm a model airplane. It would be a shame for it to be stopped. The King Orange goes on there every year. Do you know what that is?
Say again, sir.
The King Orange. You know what that is? Free flight model airplane.
Free what, sir?
Free flight model airplanes.
Okay.
They fly there every year to a thing called the King Orange. It's been going on forever. And to shut them people down would be a shame. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. I'm 79. And it's an amazing place to me. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, so I've got, yes, ma'am. Come on up, and then you're next, ma'am.
Good evening. My concern, and I'm sure is with
to me, ma'am. Just
everybody's
come on up.
concern, is we all have an emotional tie out here. A lot of us have grown up here. Most of us have moved from other areas for the serenity that Southwest Palm Bay had to offer. We go ahead and make that just industrialized out there. We need to think hard about how we are going to build it and what we're going to present out there. Because if you look at our industrial areas and what type of infrastructure we have presented to Palm Bay over the years, it's not what we want out there. It's going to create additional traffic, which you all know, and anybody that lives here knows that the traffic is horrible. I moved from Orlando to get away from that traffic, and it has followed me. It takes me 45 minutes to get to O'Galley Boulevard to go to work because you have to work in Melbourne. If you're not at retail or a small doctor's office, the hospital, which is Palm Bay, or you're moving and or Harris or Grumman, you're working in Melbourne. So it's 45 minutes to work and 45 minutes home from work. That's at 6:15 in the morning. That's how bad the traffic is here. So when you're looking at 3 routes in to one designated area and you're talking about industrializing this, number one, what is that going to do to everybody's property value out there? And the serenity. And people talk about the noise now from the ATVs or the people riding their dirt bikes. Think about dump trucks and cars going by your home every day, all day. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Phoebe Cover. I live at 897 Osmosis Drive. Sorry, I've had a stroke. I walk every day, and I have yet to see, and I've driven out there in the so-called compound. There are no street signs. The signs that there are shot up, and there are no trespassing signs. You can't tell what's private property, what is owned. I haven't seen a no trespassing sign ever. And I've lived there almost a year. The police can't tell. The other people who come out there and ride their ATVs can't tell. They can't tell what property they're supposed to be on and what they're not. And there used to be street signs. Once you pass our house, which is the last house in the compound, there are, once you get a block away, there are no street signs. There are, occasionally, there are stop bars, which at least had the DOT put down. But, you know, there are no stop signs to go with the stop bars. If somebody had an accident there, they could sue the city of Palm Bay. And anybody with a MUTCD on their desk would win. You'd be writing a big check. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Well, I appreciate you coming, ma'am, and sharing your 2 cents worth. That was more like a nickel, ma'am. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Center? Anyone in this area? Okay, I'm shifting over to my right. I see this young lady back there, and then Miss, you're next. Miss Wright. You're after her. You're next.
Hello, my name is Robin Gallo. I moved here from New York a year and a half ago. I was actually at the last meeting in regards to Jeremiah Brown and Trevon, who were killed at the compound. So I felt that the last time I was at my microphone, I didn't have any questions answered. So now that we have a 44-year-old woman whose body was found burned and cut up, and thankfully we did catch the killer, where is the safety? And I just walked in, so I've only heard some comments. But like the last lady said, there's no trespassing signs. And if RVs or whatever those bikes are is more important than the safety of people in weeds getting killed and not being found, what do you want me to suggest? That we have, like the last meeting, that surveillance has to be put up or patrolmen have to be over there? That's a question.
No, ma'am, this exchange is you provide the feedback, you get an opportunity to speak. We did cover some of that you were speaking of regarding, and I'll probably have staff recap, but you go ahead and with your comments, you have 2 minutes.
So it would be the last thing I said the last meeting, that somebody or more police should be patrolling the area, and if there is no trespassing signs, am I allowed to ask if there's any updates on the Jeremiah and Trevon case? I mean, there's a guy or a girl, older man, younger kid, we don't know, who killed 2 kids, and they're just roaming around. And it's funny, but it's not. I went to Petco the other day, and I met a woman, and she said she will never walk her dog over there again. So now it's turning into a fear, whereas other kids want to drive their little bikes over there. So I would just like to see it either cut down and more police activity or surveillance, so therefore there is safety. Because if you don't have answers on Trevon and Jeremiah, it's been since December, January, February. So we're going on 4 months now. And that murderer is just out there roaming the streets. To do it again, do we have to wait for another one? And since you have no answers, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wright? Chief, I'm going to have you come up and give us a status update on the case if you're able to.
Good evening.
Or Madam Sherman.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Isabel Wright. I am the president of the Florida Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm a little late because I was at the compound. And I went there specifically to look at some of the things that people were talking about. For the past 3 weeks, I've been researching the 20 parks that we have in the state of Florida that are ATV parks. The majority of them are either county, state, or city owned. The gentleman was mentioning the Polk Park, which is a beautiful combination of privately owned land and city owned, like what we have right now. So the people that own the land, they're getting a usage fee or a deduction in taxes in order for them to allow the park to happen. We as a community need this park. We need an ATV park so that we can ride it. My husband and I, my daughter, my 6-year-old grandson, we all have our own ATVs and we do go to the compound. And it'll be very hurtful to our community not to have that. I think it would be a very good combination between the water park that Melbourne is putting up and us having this ATV park. We are going to get an influx of tourists that are going to want to have the park to go to the pool and all that, and then come over here and ride. So the majority of the parks that we researched were parks that are open on Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Some of them are open every day. They have partnered with outside companies to provide ATVs. They do have yearly fees if you want to become members. They have a $10 fee per person, $40 per vehicle. Then you rent. They have showers. They have everything. And different parks have different things. I think if we invest our time into looking at the way that the other cities have the parks put together, it would be an amazing income producing situation for the city of Palm Bay. I understand that there's people that live around there and they complain about the traffic and all that, but if we have this contained, fenced in with paying customers that want to use it, I don't believe that they're going to have people riding up and down the street like they do now. If you take that away from us, what else are we supposed to do to entertain our families when we don't have nothing in Palm Bay? I understand crime has been committed there. I'm originally from Los Angeles. In Miami, crime gets committed everywhere. And unfortunately, things happen and we respect what happens, but we can't close down a whole situation because of things that have happened with crime. we really need to look at the bigger picture. This community needs that park in order to enjoy. We barbecue out there, we have fun, and it can be a clean environment. It doesn't necessarily have to be a criminal activity for everything that happens at the compound. And I really hope that we continue to evolve and to look into this possibility and look at the patterns from other cities and other counties and make the compound something like what they have. And I do have the information available. People sign waivers, so the city will not be
Thank
charged
you.
for anything. Thank you.
Sir, you raised your hand? Yes, sir. Come on.
My name is Carlos McCauley, and I live at 1964 Brookside Street Northeast, and I'm a rocketeer with the Spaceport Rocketry Association. In 1999, I was working for Melbourne Airport Shuttle, and most of our clients were living in Vero Beach. And I came to the conclusion that Palm Bay is laid out like a labyrinth, like a maze. And there are only like several routes that will take you south to Vero Beach, where most of our clients were, and I'd have to take them to Orlando. And so several times during my engagement at Melbourne Airport Shuttle, I had to drive through Palm Bay traffic at rush hour. And I couldn't believe how impossible it was that I spent like an hour between Palm Bay Road and Emerson trying to go north or trying to go south, and it was impossible. There ought to be more ways to get traffic moving north and south and connect to one another, kind of like Vero Beach is laid out like a grid, and Palm Bay is laid out like a labyrinth. Like it's just a bottleneck here and there and everywhere. It's impossible. But anyway, as a spaceport rocketeer, I spend a lot of time looking for rockets, and I'm always going through the off-road areas and looking for rockets that like to hide in the tall grass. They lay down and the grass is like 4 feet high. They're impossible to find. But recently, I've noticed that I've been coming across ATV trails, I suppose, or whatever, through these non-road areas. But that's, I understand ATVs go wherever they want, and it's not a problem. Nobody lives there. There's nobody to complain. And they should do what they have to do. But I think what is needed is designated areas where these people can be, and we have a lot of cooperation with the ATVers and us finding our rockets and whatever and doing our thing, and they should be able to do their thing. But I just think that we just need a little more communication, cooperation, and I think everything would be good. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else in this section? This young lady, is it okay? I've got two right here. Ma'am, you want to go first? And the young lady in the hat, that's with you as well, I believe. Ma'am, with the hat, you're next, okay? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Get the mic close to you, ma'am.
I have sat here and I have listened to the ones that has come to this panel, and they have talked about how beautiful the compound is, how wonderful it is. And they've also spoke of things to be done and changed with the compound, meaning building something, having so many houses, then having maybe some commercial buildings and all of that nature. I'm here because several said about, wherever you go, crime is going to follow you. More people come in, crime is going to follow. I'm here to say that it was my grandson, Jeremiah, Brown that was killed with his friend on Christmas night. Now, I know people are talking about riding their ATVs and their dirt bikes and going out there fishing and all of that stuff. I can't help but say it's nothing but evil. And I say evil because there's been so many deaths that has taken place out there. And I'm willing to bet, and I don't have the money to pay, but I'm willing to bet there's corpse that is out there today. As the gentleman just said, there's some areas where the grass is high up, some is low, and people have drove over those, you know, with their dirt bikes and all of that. That's fine that people have to find an outlet to have fun, okay? But what it boils down to, that compound is being nothing other than a death sentence for many, many people. And even if what everybody is talking about that should be happening or should be done about this compound, that's not going to be solved like tomorrow. Noah's Ark wasn't built in a day, okay? So that's not going to be solved. And at the same time, you got to remember, as long as that compound is open, and as long as there's nothing that's being done to secure from anybody getting in until there has a plan has come up, there has been an accurate plan to come up with something to start happening. I don't think it's right for it to still be open, for people to just go in there and do this and the other. The lady talked about she has land. She's had land since 2003, okay? For whatever the reason is. There's nothing built there though. It's grass. So yes, you do have people that have land there, but there's nothing being done, and I feel like it should be closed down.
Thank you, ma'am.
Until ones decide what they're going to do about that land.
Thank you, ma'am.
For letting
Thank you.
me speak.
Hello, my name is Chriselle Brown. I live at 1624 Javier Street in Palm Bay, Florida. I am the mother of Jeremiah Brown, and I'm so happy y'all had this meeting tonight. I've been waiting to get in front of you all. I hear what everyone is saying, and it's fine on what y'all want to do, but like my mom said, it's a problem now, okay? It's gonna take some time for y'all to put all of this in motion. So in the meantime, what do? I visited the compound in the last couple weeks. Someone told me that the city is supposed to be cutting the grass so many feet from the roadway. That isn't happening. The grass is so high out there. In the meantime, maybe y'all should cut the grass, make it all even so you can see straight through. With that grass being high on, you know, basically all out there, you can't see what's going on. You can't properly monitor it. Send drones out there occasionally, you know, to monitor the area. But like my mom said, it's probably corpse out there. We just heard of a lady being buried, burnt up. You know, like, come on, that's fine. I don't care what y'all do out there. Like, I really do not, but I feel like it's a problem now. Put lights out there, put poles out there with lights, light it up. It's dark out there, you know, and it's just unfortunate that people have lost their lives.
Just a second, ma'am. I'm going to ask for you all to please honor this young lady and pay close attention to what she's saying. We owe her that much. We owe that much respect. Carry on, ma'am. Please. Carry on, ma'am.
So yeah, so like I was saying, you know, maybe put poles up there, you know, with lights, just light it up, you know, and like I said, it's not a bad idea to kind of cut that grass. What is it gonna hurt in the meantime, you know, just to have an open field so you can see clearly what's going on. Someone is not gonna commit a crime because it doesn't matter if it's day or night. If a person wants to commit a crime, they're gonna do it, you know, but with that grass being so high, it hides a lot of stuff. You know, you can't really see. So that's all I wanted to say. You know, again, I'm I don't care what y'all do with it out there, but I feel like in the meantime, yes, more patrol, more policemen, cut the grass, put lights out there, and just try to make it a little safer for the ones that are trying to go out there to enjoy, I guess, the serenity of, as they see it. But, I appreciate you letting me come up and talk.
Oh, we appreciate you coming, ma'am, and even moreover, just know that our prayers have been of peace for your family.
I appreciate that.
We are truly sorry for the loss of life that we had out there. The two lives that were taken, and there were young lives.
Right.
So we really appreciate you showing up and sharing your input. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Madam Sherman, I think it would be, is it okay to have Police Chief come up and perhaps provide a status update?
Yes, I'll have him come up. There's not a whole lot we can share, but
Yes, ma'am. Whatever can be shared. I know that there's sensitivity, but there was a young lady that brought it up, and so we have family members here.
Good evening. So correct, city managers is correct on that, as the rest of you guys are aware as well. There's not much I'm going to provide this evening with regards to certain questions that were asked or demands that were asked by individuals outside of the family. As recently as in the beginning of the meeting, I spoke with the family, and we are updating as much as we can in terms of what we have to provide and can provide, because it is an open investigation. What I can guarantee and tell everyone, which I've been telling the family and speaking with the family, is that the case for Jeremiah and Trevon is and will continue to be, until it has a positive resolution and outcome for Jeremiah and Trevon and the family, a priority for us. We haven't stopped working it. So we are continuing to collaborate with the state attorney's office and with other organizations to ensure that we get what we want in terms of that, and that's justice for both of them. That's all I can add at this point.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments. Thank you. We did have another young lady that wished to speak. Come on up, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Taquanda Gibson. Born and raised right here, Palm Bay. 1386 Port Malabar Boulevard was my residence for about 30 years. That's where my mom continues to reside. My cousin just came up. Her son was Jeremiah, who lost his life out there in the compound. My biggest thing is I feel like it's a lot of selfishness that goes on. I'm sorry, I was kind of toying with myself about even coming up here to speak. So my nerves are on end, and I'm not always like that. But
and relax.
Yes, sir. But a lot of selfishness when I sit in this meeting tonight. I think the bigger picture is our children, our future. When we came here for our initial meeting, I forgot earlier this year, I made a comment about our kids, our future. When I look in this room, we're all working people. We got kids. Some of us got kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. Okay, so what are we doing with that generation? Because as we can see, they're perishing. They're losing their life to gun violence, drugs, the streets, and whatever else can swallow them whole. We got the compound. Like I said, born and raised right here. I've had several visits to the compound. Did I do anything illegal out there? No. I went out there with friends growing up. We rode our dirt bikes, ATVs, whatever. We had a good time, okay? But at the end of the day, these generations and times have changed. Something needs to happen. Of course, it's not going to happen overnight. We get it. But what's going to happen, like, expeditiously, like before the year ends type of thing? Older gentleman got up here and he said, we've had these meetings before. 20 years ago, we spoke about the same thing. There's no reason why this issue should be going on 20 years later, where this land is just sitting there, nothing happening but sin, death, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I have to agree with the gentleman that came up here and said one half of it where it floods that area, make it into an ATV area. Keep something for them to do, because God forbid, we don't need it like West Palm. We don't need it like Miami, because they will ride and we know that the cops can't catch them. The other half, do something other than put houses. We got enough of that, enough traffic. So, just my thing is, I appreciate your time and I respect it. So thank you all for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Eileen Sepp from 1230 Frail Road Northeast. And I've been listening to what everybody has been dreaming about for this. And every problem, you always look for the solutions. But the one thing I didn't hear was how we're going to get these things done. Nothing's going to happen without a huge infusion of cash. And I believe that what we need to do is find someone who's willing to develop that, to put the parks in. I would love to see it like a botanical garden or places where people could walk, or a small town where there were shops where you could just, hang out and meet people. It's possible to do it, but it takes work, and it takes doing research and finding people, companies, whatever, who would be willing to do that. I would like to see the compound be a landmark where people would come to Palm Bay just to see what we've done with it. And that's pretty much all I can say, other than I think the notion that crime follows you is a horrible notion. I lived in neighborhoods where nothing ever happened. Everybody knew everyone. And no life can be put down to just a crime where someone steals a candy bar. It's so much more serious. No life, young, old, or whatever, is worth risking by leaving it as it is. Something needs to be done, and I certainly would like to help make that happen.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none, at this time I'm going to end the public comments section of our workshop, and I want to entertain the discussion of council. Madam Sherman, I'd like to just ask, some of the questions that came up regarding drone, and who's better qualified to answer those questions? Is it in particular with the FAA? And yes, ma'am.
I'll defer to the city attorney to start.
Well, thank you, ma'am.
Well, as far as the use of drones, Florida statute is pretty comprehensive as far as the use of drones by law enforcement. Generally speaking, law enforcement agency is not permitted to use a drone to gather evidence or other information. There are some exceptions, but they are very specific and limited. And as far as using a drone to monitor traffic, to see traffic violations, they can, but they then can't ticket anybody based upon that. But it's really, the government really did not want, especially here in Florida, to essentially have police be able to monitor and surveil people from a place where they would normally not be seen. So there is a lot of restrictions, and it's not something that's going to be legally permissible in most cases.
In other words, not like the NSA, that they can actually look down on us pretty much. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make sure we understood the difference. Thank you, ma'am. I wanted to, yes, yes. Okay.
Follow up. Madam Attorney, considering the compound as its current state, would that apply? Would those rules would apply? Not having any current, housing out there, not having, how would you give us a little more detail on that?
A person is presumed to have a reasonable expectation of privacy on his or her privately owned real property. if he or she is not observable by persons located at ground level in a place where they have a legal right to be, regardless of whether she is observable from the air or with use of a drone. You have to realize all those lots are privately owned property. It doesn't matter whether there is a house or a structure. You have a right to be, under Florida law, to be on your property without somebody police surveilling you without cause. Certainly there are instances where we believe that somebody is a terrorist, fire has ability, and there are others, but generally speaking, you're not going to be able to use anything from a surveillance using a drone out there. You have to be able to see people normally at the level. So it really is not an effective method as far as being able to get evidence and be able to use it in any type of prosecution.
Thank you, ma'am. I wanted to just cover the drone aspect to that. So thank you, Madam Attorney. Counsel, what are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. So another thing, I know our police department and other police departments have looked into it, and it was mentioned by Mr. Gom, shot spotter technology. We're seeing an increase in that. That's something I would like for us to, look into, because, shots fired regardless out there is illegal and shouldn't be happening. We have the Port Malabar gun range, we have Frog Bones, we have the gun range down in Indian River. So there's plenty of spaces in regards to the shooting aspect. So I think shot spotter technology is a quick look that we can do. Other than that, and this is more long-term, but I know I myself have spoken with and y'all have too, spoken to the gentleman in regards to Emerald Lakes, but I spoke to them about the compound as well as other applicants that are looking at, developing in the city of Palm Bay in regards to land assemblage, buying up multiple lots and developing it. That's why I think possibly looking at opportunity zone, or to your point, Mayor, rezoning this area can be a benefit. So I think that's something we need to take in consideration too, whether we, direct staff or our economic development team to look into companies that operate ATV parks or companies that operate what we're looking for. We have other industries that are looking from the space industry, looking at the compound. So there's no reason why, to Mr. Olszewski's point, why it can't be a multiple pronged approach in regards to addressing this area. Yes, it's going to be lengthy, but that can be the long-term approach. In regards to the short term, our police have, so much more to cover with the city, but what we can do is look at technology and utilize it to our, our advantage. So those are my comments right now, Mayor. I appreciate all the dialogue that we've had here. I know it's been a long few months, especially Mrs. Brown. I'm looking directly at you, ma'am. I know I could never be able to fathom what you and your family are going through, but we're here with you. And I know it's been multiple months since December 25th, but we're still here for you. So we're really trying to work towards getting this resolved. And the chief told you, and I know he talks to you outside of this, like this is their top priority and it's ours as well. And to everybody else, this is our top priority too. So we appreciate the dialogue that you're having. Continue to keep the contact and keep the dialogue going, or reaching out to the mayor, myself, anybody else. But in the meantime, this is what I see. Because the main thing is the shootings out there. So I think shot spotter technology is something of a quick thing we can look at, Mayor.
Have you researched some of the costs for that?
Well, that's where through procurement we can have a competitive bid to drive down the costs. So, yes, sir.
Thank you. Does that conclude your comment?
Yes, sir. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councilman Johnson. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, let me start to speak to the family that lost the young man, or the two gentlemen last December. Certainly our heart goes out to you. And I want to specifically speak to the fact, some of the comments that were made. And I'm truly sorry. I know it's easy to say, keep it as is, it's a great place and this and that, all the comments that were made. And I truly apologize. And I know for one that lost a family member, that must have hurt to hear that. The notion of diminishing a lost life, especially a young one. I couldn't imagine being in your position, and certainly I didn't take that lightly. And I want you to know I heard you, and everything's being done. We're doing the best we can, and we're going to continue to work at it. But certainly Councilman Johnson mentioned quite a bit of possible solution, which I would echo the same. I think land use, the zoning aspect of it, those are within our purview that we may be able to act right away. And certainly looking at possible private partner, private public partnership in some of the aspect, bringing something out there on some of the land that we use. I mean, we currently own. Those are some possible quicker move we can make. But certainly, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. I want the public to know that, yeah, we can certainly secure that area and also keep the aspect of a great outdoor, in terms of to have the ability to do some of these activities. I think we need to do both. We need to secure both. But for the time being, I think it's important that we start looking into zoning and land use possibilities, what we can do right now to move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I'm going to begin my comments. Say, listen, to the family, God bless you. You have a praying mayor. Ever since that horrible day of the news, I've been locking arms with you, and I'm declaring angels over your family to bring you peace and comfort. The loss of life is a difficult process for anyone to endure, in particular when it's a child. And so know that I was grateful that the police chief came up, and it is still the #1 priority of his law enforcement officials. It is still heavy on each and every one of their minds and their souls, and they've worked really hard on this investigation. It is an open investigation, and I'm sorry that he can't share much more, but the assurance that it is a priority not only for the police department here in Palm Bay, but for each and every one of us that sit up here. Our hearts and prayers are with you of comfort. When it comes to the issues at hand, when you look at our next steps, I'm all across the board. The discussion of an FPL substation is critical to the growth of that area, right, ma'am? And so part of that, I even want to expound it not only to talk about the possibility of something like a Mesa Park or an ATV park. Mesa Park, I think they have one down in, I believe it's Fellsmere or Sebastian. But that possibility does exist. At the same time, we have to keep in mind that we have a corridor that we're responsible for. And in that corridor, if we're talking about the compound, we're looking at what we can do with our own property, right? And that is the future land use. That is talking about what corridor we can control. And right now, there's over 2,900 acres. There's so many other owners, but let's start looking within ourselves to see where we can go and fix part of and provide a solution to this. So there is, when it comes to our next steps, as you've outlined, Madam Sherman, I'm truly believing in all of these. I believe that an economic development plan is going to be critical to that corridor. I also believe that we have to redesignate the future land use. And part of that, I love the FPL, like I mentioned. But here's something else. Will the citizens that own all these properties out there, are they willing to invest in their own property? Like for decades now, the properties have been valued at $1,000 or $2,000, and they're paying taxes of, I don't know, maybe less than $100, right? What are they willing to do? Most of them did that as an investment. Are they willing to do a special assessment so that they can create property values out there as well? So those are thoughts that looking, and like you said, Councilman Johnson, this is not a next day fix. This is a long range planning. One of the individuals that spoke, she hit the nail on the head. She said 20 years. And what has happened within those 20 years? So what are we prepared to do that 20 years from now, when my great-grandchildren are here, what can be said that we did here collectively to make a change, a positive change in our community. Certainly an ATV park is part of that. We're given, and even more so, I love, hey, Mirage mentioned an amphitheater. The use that we can have here with an amphitheater is huge. So those are my thoughts. And I'd love to go down that range of these next steps. None of that amphitheater park cannot be done without dealing with a strategic plan and so on. So, Madam Sherman, you got kind of like a consensus here on with the three members. What are your thoughts? What would you like for us to tackle next?
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate council's feedback and all the residents and members of the community who spoke tonight. I think we have a clear sense of where you'd like us to go. I think a number of the options that we'll need to look at and do some more homework on relate to the big heavy lift, which relates to all the individually owned properties and what are the financial mechanisms we can use to actually see some of that change. So some of the things we mentioned that you actually just referenced, whether we're looking at special assessments, whether we're going down a path of eminent domain, there's all these things that we can consider. And if you want us to just keep all those options on the table, then what we'll do is go forward and start really digging into those and seeing what those costs are for some of those things, and then bring back to you some strategies that we can offer for your consideration and actual voting at a regular meeting.
Ma'am, just to be clear, I'm good with special assessments in that process before we go down an eminent domain path. Eminent domain, I don't want to belabor this, but from what I understand, and let me get the city attorney's feedback on this. Madam Smith, when it comes to eminent domain, would that be more of for a park? Is a park for the greater good of this community? Is that part of the criteria for something like that?
Yes, it can be a park. You can, someone mentioned a community center, those type of things. There's a number of things, as we discussed at the last workshop, as far as what the statute allows. There certainly right of way, additional road land for the roads, whether it land to expand upon utilities, all of those would be appropriate uses.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for clarifying that. So it's on the table. And I think all these next steps is something that we can all collectively agree on, that we need to move forward in order to make a change. But I love the idea of an ATV park, the idea of having that type of community output, recreation, if you will. And that concludes my comments. Madam Sherman, you do have enough to move forward?
Good. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating in our workshop. Truly appreciate everyone's input. This meeting's adjourned.